Hi everybody, Colin here, welcome back. Today's project is the one I was going to try and do last week, but I hit some problems. I now know what my issue was, and that was the browser I was using. So here we go. I'm going to do the Archery Practice project in Python, but I'm going to use my Edge browser, not the Brave browser I've been using. Let's get coding. So we're going to head over to Raspberry Pi projects. And it's that all new paths, and it's this introduction to Python block, and it's called target practice. We're going to make a archery game where clicking the mouse fires our arrow, and depending on where the arrow is on the scoreboard, that will work out your points. When I was doing this the other day, I was only ever getting 50 points for hitting the outer and nothing else, but today I can get a range of points, which is really quite exciting. Okay, so we're going to use Trinket for this, and there's a starter project. And I'm going to remix this starter project. I'm going to sign in. So I'm signed in. I'm going to remix this project, and because it needs to come up saying it's been remixed. I'm just going to go into my stuff. It should be this one here. Okay, and I'm just going to rename that there. Archery by Colin. Oh, he says Archery by Colin. Okay. So the starter code they give us is, let's see if we can't make that a bit bigger. There we go. So lines 4 to 7 are setting up the libraries necessary. P5 is a library that has some special drawing functions within it. We don't need to worry about the detail in there, just that's what we're using. Math is we're importing everything in math, so we can do some mathematics within our game, and we're using the random integer function to generate some randomness within the game. We've got some functions being created at lines 12 and lines 18, and we're going to be adding to those over the course of the game. Make sure you've got line 27 always at the bottom of your code, because that's what keeps the window open. Okay, let us drag that screen down, Windows right arrow key, and let's just see how this is going to work. I press play on there. Do we get to see the result? Yes, we do. Okay, so nothing's showing on there because we haven't built the code. Can I press stop? And do I get the... Okay. So because I've got the screen really big, I've got to work my way around some different windows. Okay, so back to the left-hand window. I'm going to press Windows left arrow. I'm going to squash that over to the left as far as it will go, like I normally do. And let's just make Trinket as big as it will go, just to make that easier for us. Right, and I'm really hopeful that this will go as quick as we can. So target practice, go to the introduction on there. I'm going to try and go through this reasonably quickly because it was nearly about 50 minutes when I recorded this earlier on. So I've given you a demonstration of how the game works. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a background to our project, and we're going to paint the top half one colour and the bottom half another colour. There's a link for the starter project which I've got here, which I've got on my screen. If you want to know more about the P5 processing library, there's some stuff in here. There's some good information here about the way the coordinates work within Python. 0, 0 is the top left hand corner. We're going to create a screen that's 40 wide by 400 wide by 400 deep, so 200 200 is in the middle. Anyway, you're welcome to read that at your leisure. Close that window down at the top there. There's a fill function which sets the color inside shapes, and each time you want a color, any shapes created after that fill shape gets the color of the previous fill. So we've got in our draw function, we've got 4 variables created already, and these are just holding color RGB color codes. So the top one is a sky color, grass, wood, and the outer for the archery. I won't say dartboard, but the archery targets. And the first thing we're going to do then is we're going to add a fill function to fill sky. And all this is doing is setting up the color that's going to be applied to the next shape that's drawn. And we're going to draw a rectangle, so it's going to be rect. It's going to be based on 0, 0, this top left hand corner, and it's going to be 400 wide by 250 pixels deep. And that's going to be filled with that sky color. Let's just run that, and there we go. Because I've got the screen set really big, you hopefully appreciate what's happening there. Just to prove that that does something different, if I change the sky color to outer, it's going to be a blue color. Press stop and press run. Then we get the color we're going to draw for our outer of our targets. I'll change that back to sky and just test that works again. Yep, so we're back to our sky color. There's a black line around our screen, and that's called the stroke. It's kind of like just a border color and a border thickness. We can tell it to do no stroke. So in my code here, I'm going to go no stroke. Can't spell. Stop and run again. And that's turned off that heavy border around the outside. We're going to now create our grass, the bottom part of our screen. So fill, changing the fill color to green, and we're going to draw another rectangle, and this is going to be based around 0 along 250 down, so down here 0, 250, and it's going to be 400 wide and 150 deep. So that'll fill the bottom half of our screen in here. Let's test that. Oops. Problem I got here. So the error message here says there's a problem in line 98 within P5. The problem I've got is I haven't used the color code here. I should have put grass in there. And then that will then pop up there and get those RGB colors, red, green, blue colors. And hopefully that fixes the problem. There we go. So we've now got a blue sky and a green base. Let's save our let's save, stop, and save. So that's saved now. We're now going to draw our target. Now the target is created with, oh no, so the first thing we're going to draw is the triangular stance. There's a big triangle we're going to draw in a woody color. So the first thing we're going to do is again change our fill color Fill's going to be, oops, fill will be wood, and that pulls this brown colour from the colours there, and that's going to be a triangle. And for a triangle, we just give the coordinates to each of the points. So we want 150, 300. Oh no, 350, 200, 150, 250, 350. And stop and run that. So we've got our triangle. It's in the right position because I've got the screen blown up large. And next job to do is to create the outer. We're going to create the outer blue circle. The order that the shapes are drawn is important because we have to start with the back and then come forward a layer to draw the triangle, which is the base, and then we're going to do the outer, which is the big outer ring of the triangle of the target, and then we're going to do the other two inside that. So come down here. First of all, we're going to do fill. Oops. Fill color is going to be outer, and that's going to be a circle. To get a circle, we draw an ellipse at 200, 200. So that's bang in the middle of the screen, and it's going to be 170 high by 170 wide, and that's what makes it a circle. Press stop, press run, and there's our circle. If I change one of those numbers there to 270, say, then we're going to get a big oval circle. Just to show you how that it's an oval, it's not a circle, but put the numbers the same and we get a circle. Okay. They haven't given us all the colors we need, so we're going to need to make our next two colors. So we're creating a variable, and we're going to call it inner equals color, and this is the American spelling of color, color, C-O-L-O-R, and it's going to be 210, 60, 60, and that gives us a red color. And the bullseye is going to be color, American spelling, 220, 200, sorry, 0. If you wanted to know more about these RGB colors, there's a link there to some great stuff about how some of the colors are made up. But I'm just going to crack on. So having created those new variables, that's going to be a yellow bullseye. And that's the middle of the screen. So we're going to come down here and we're going to change our, first of all, change our fill color to inner. And that's going to be another ellipse based on, centered on 200, 200, but this time it's only going to be 110 wide and 110 tall. 110, oops, get in there, 110, 110, and I'm just going to test it as I go along just to make sure I don't catch any problems. That looks pretty good to me. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do fill bullseye, and that's another ellipse, again based in the middle of the screen, 200, 200, this time it's going to be 30 pixels wide and 30 high. Bullseye is not defined. Oh, I spelt bullseye with a bull eye, so if I change that one there to bullseye, we now get our bullseye in the middle of our screen. Hey, that's looking pretty good. Let's just save that. So we've got a backup point. Next thing we've got is the arrow. So the arrow is another little circle. It's just going to appear on the screen. And we need to create a new function. Oh no, we don't. We've got the arrow is already, they put a placeholder in for the arrow at line 10. So we write def to define a function, shoot underscore arrow. That's the name of our function. Don't forget to put the colon on the end of the line there, and it's going to be an ellipse. Initially based at 200, 200, 15, 15. This would be a very small circle. In our code down here, we need to put the color of the arrow. So we're going to do fill. Let's put a line in there to signify it's different. Fill with wood, the wood color, shoot underscore arrow. So when this code runs now, it looks up to shoot arrow for the color, for the coordinates of where the arrow is going to be, for the coordinates and the size that the red arrow, the arrow is going to be. If we run the code now, we should get another. Oh, shoot arrow. Oh, I don't. Okay, yeah. It should be shoot underscore arrow because we're calling that function up above, and an open and closing bracket on the end. Let's press run. Oh, sorry, let's press save and run, and press run. So now that new dot in the middle there is the arrow that I've just built. In our defining the game here from line 14 downwards, the frame rate is set. It tells the computer how many times a second to refresh the screen. So it's going to do 2 frames a screen. The draw function down here is called every time a frame is run. So this bit of code here runs all the time. So in effect, although we can't see it, this screen here is flickering as it's redrawing the screen each time, which is why when I do the next thing, you get the impression of the arrow moving. We need to be able to have the arrow appear in random positions, and we're going to use the module from line 6, random, to create a random number. So we're going to our shoot arrow box, and we want it to create a random number between 100 and 300. So we're going to get an area around the target like that as to where our arrow could appear. So in shoot arrow, at the very top in here, the arrow's X position is going to be, I'm going to call it a variable, a random integer, random int, between 100 and 300. And we're going to do the same thing for arrow underscore Y. So it's Y position, and that's going to be random int 100, 300. And then what we're going to do is inside the drawing of the arrow, we're going to take away those 200s and put arrow X here, and then arrow underscore Y here. So in effect, every time the arrow is fired, it's going to go to a random position. We need to add some more code to get the hit, the color that's been when the arrow appears, what color it hits. So above here in line 14, so we've got arrow X, arrow Y, then we're adding another line in here. It's hit underscore color. And this is another variable that's just going to get the X and Y coordinates of where the arrow is when it hits. Get arrow underscore X, comma, arrow, oops, wrong window. Arrow underscore X, comma, arrow underscore Y. Right, now hopefully if I've done this properly, if I press stop and save, my arrow appears in random positions around my target. Lovely. If you get any error messages, check the spelling of your variables. Okay, so now we're going to add some points to our game. The color variables in our draw block will be used each time to check the score on mouse pressed. So what we need to do is we need to make sure these colors are visible throughout the whole program. At the moment they only work within the function. So what we can do is we can declare some global variables. That first line needs to be tabbed in so it's in line with the other items there. We'll just write in there global. So it's telling the game that the variables outer, inner and bullseye are global variables and can be seen outside the function. There's a bit more information there if you want to know a bit more about what that, if that worries you. We go back to our if mouse pressed block, which we haven't coded in yet. Then we're going to define a new function, mouse underscore pressed, open close brackets, colon, if hit underscore color. There's a double equal sign there if we want to check if two things are the same. We're testing for equality. Rather than down here we'll use equal sign to assign a value. So if hit color equals outer, so it's testing to see what if the hit color is the same as the outer color, which is defined down here, which is why we made those global. Colon, print you hit the inner, no, it was outer circle, comma 50 points. Right, so we're going to test this now. Stop and run. So hopefully when the arrow hits the hit color is not defined. Right, so I've got hit color up there spelt okay. I've got hit color up there spelt okay. I think this is making it global again. If define mouse pressed, if hit color equals outer, then print the message. I think I might have missed something here. Just go back a page. Yes, in shoot arrow, I need to tell the computer that it's allowed to see hit color. Right, let's just run that. That's working perfectly. Good, let's go back to where we were. Score points. We're about halfway down here. So now I'm going to add some more. I'm going to add to our if statement here. So after an if, we need to have an else if, and that's written as elif. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that bit of code there. Control V. If hit color equals inner, you hit the inner circle. Let's give ourselves 200 points. And come down again. Elif hit color equals bullseye. You hit the bullseye. 500 points. Okay, let's save and run that. This should be fun. Hit the inner, that's 200 points. Hit the outer, 50 points. Inner, 200 points. Bullseye, 500. When I did this in the other, so I'm using the Edge browser today. And when I was using my other browser, I was only getting the 50 points. So sometime, if you've got a problem, try choosing a different browser. But this is definitely working in Edge. If you get those messages about something not being defined, then it's likely to be either a spelling of a variable or you haven't defined something as being global. And all global means is that hit color can be seen outside the function. And on the end of our mouse pressed, we're going to just write a simple else statement that says print shucks, you missed, try again. Okay, press run. Yep, so I've already tested the other bits and pieces. That's working very well. Can't believe how difficult this was last time round. We've got the usual number of reflection questions, which I'll let you process and then check your answer, and then they'll give you some extension things if you want to have a go at something else. Well, you don't know how happy that makes me, because when I did that about 2 nights ago, I spent ages trying to get my to get past 50 points. Today the project works, and that was just using the Edge browser. The one I normally use is one called Brave. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Phew.